Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. Today on the show, we have two gentlemen that I have been practicing their names and getting them wrong, so I will do my best, and then they will correct me. Mohsen Barkh, he is the president and CEO at PMAP, Mine Water Corporation, and Dr. Franz. And Dr. Franz, I'm having a tough time with your last name, and I'm not even sure why. Spachtholz.
Very
How do you? I want to say, how do you say it? What is the correct way to say it? As if maybe I'm saying it right.
Franz Spachtholz.
So,
very easy.
Some names just get me. I've been on a good run lately, but both your names are giving me a tough time. And you're the president and CEO of Baymag.
Yes.
Thank you both for being here. Thank you for navigating through our construction zone as we're building our new studios. Maybe just a quick introduction to both yourselves and the companies you represent. Mohsen, starting with you.
Okay, thank you for having me on the show. My name is Mohsen Barkh. I am basically the wastewater treatment engineer, and I have more than 25 years experience in this field. I used to work in different countries and different basically regions, South Africa, South America, Europe, and Canada, obviously. And after, let's say, 20 years of the experience, we come up with a new solution or new material for using in the mine wastewater treatments. And we developed a system that we now call it PMAP technology, which is we started almost 2 years ago, but it's a kind of the innovative solution for dealing with the mine wastewater treatments. I try to be very short, but if you...
That was a pretty good summary. We're going to dig into it. I was last night going through it, and I was confused for a while because it is new. So I was like, where in the process are they? And then I realized what you're doing. It's very interesting. So we're going to dig into that. But Franz, can you just give us, Baymag is kind of a unique, it's kind of one of in Canada, right?
Yeah, very right. We have the only one, and we are the sole producer of high-grade MgO in Canada. And our mine, we have a mine for sure as well, and is in close to radium in the heart of the Rocky Mountains of Alberta. And we have a very unique environment there. It's really nothing around us than moose and elk. So it's very sensitive. So we have to look very carefully around us. We have a plant in Exshore, which is also in the entrance from the Bow Valley coming from Calgary. So also very sensitive entrance to the Banff National Park, right? And we have our headquarters in Calgary. And yeah, from here we serve the world. We are 100% Canadian, but we are a company which is in a group of companies called the Refertechnik Group.
Yeah.
With his headquarters in Munich. So maybe there's a correlation why as a German guy in Calgary running a mine in this location. And Refertechnik is a family-based company. They have also 60 years already full in operation. Next year we have 75th anniversary. And this was always focusing on refractories. So this was the former goal to look for really high-grade material, which can be used in high-grade refractory products for cement plants, for steel plants, and so on. And the owner of the company, he has the idea, why not looking for this Baymag area for this mine to dig this out. And this was the starting point of Baymag 40 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
40
years.
Wow.
40 years ago.
Yeah, and I want to get into some of that because that actually ties into some of what you're doing, just that network the parent company has. But Mohsen, I want to just actually, can you say your first name? I want to make sure I'm getting it right.
Mohsen.
Mohsen. Okay. I just say it with a very thick Canadian accent. I grew up kind of around where that picture of the elk is back there, so that's my excuse.
Nice area.
Okay.
Yeah. So mostly deer there in my area though.
Let's talk about our Heavy Industry World Tour brought to you by Savannah Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide. And Corporate Traveler Canada, helping companies travel the globe simpler, faster, easier. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. Does your mine plan keep up with changes on site? When it comes to managing a mine, you never know what's around the corner. When conditions change and you need answers yesterday, don't get held back by your scheduling software. With Micromine Elastri, you can explore a broader range of scenarios, rapidly test options, and slash your waiting times. Account for more in your mine plan and be ready with the right answers when questions arise. It's time your software matched the pace of your site's demands. Visit micromine.com/Elastri to learn more. CIM is Canada's leading technical institute dedicated to the sustainability of our industry. Members enjoy professional growth opportunities through CIM libraries, publications, webinars, societies, and the job board. Experience the CIM community firsthand at the Conference of Metallurgists, August 19th to 22nd, ICARD, September 16th to 20th, and the CIM Health and Safety Conference, October 6th to 8th. Visit CIM.org for more information and join CIM today.
I'm very interested in, you said 25 years in the industry, right?
Yes.
And in the water side or water and mining?
Actually, it's only water and wastewater treatment.
Okay. I'm very interested in, so I'll give an example. We started a talk show, but there's a lot of talk shows. So we find little innovations within the format, but we haven't invented anything. It baffles me when people are willing to go through the work of creating something completely new. Of course, it's on the shoulders of other technology that's been figured out over the years. But what was sort of the motivation to start even developing? Was there did someone request it? Did you just see a need? Was it other research? How did you even start going that direction?
Actually, yes. As a person that worked for a long time in the industry, you see a lot of issue, and you see this kind of a repetitive issue that happen in every single project that you have it. So then come to your mind that how I can do better, how we can basically make it less problem for the people. Because I have a lot of field experience, and I spent plenty of my time on the troubleshooting and retrofitting team on this field to make sure that we see an environmentally friendly solution, and we try to basically mitigate any potential risk that happen during the operation. When you look at that point of view, you come to the point that why we have this kind of the issue, what the root cause of the issue actually. And when I was sitting back and thinking, and happened to me to be familiar with some people in Baymag, I said, oh, magnesium oxide is thing that might be helpful for that one. Let me try something on my own time. And then I started basically working on the magnesium oxide based formulation that can solve some of the problem. And I said, wow, the result is promising. Then I start to basically go ahead and solve the issues that I think is existing on the wastewater treatment in the mining. And
Yeah.
that's come the outcome that you see now.
Okay, I want to zoom out a little bit, because I think, someone who understands the industry well, of course, like engineers will kind of know like issues you're talking about in different processes. But I'd like to understand maybe from both of you. So what is it's too new. Your technology might be too new to call the old technology legacy technology, but it looks like you kind of want to already. But what is the issue? What is happening, and why did Baymag specifically? Maybe if you could talk to, what is your system before the PMAP system?
Yeah, this, as I said, we come from the refractory, but now we are total independent. We figured out a little bit, like Mohsen said, there is a lot of potential applications which you don't think what MGO is doing. We have this agriculture thing where you really have animal feed, which is nutrition, where you go in fertilizer, which is for sure for feeding and for plants.
Yeah.
This is one of our hubs. Then we have this industrial application where you speak about, there's the first time water come into play, where you have maybe a pulp and paper industry where they need the pH neutralization in their process, and MGO is reactive enough to do this. So this comes maybe with the water already, or where we have the possibility where we find out that we can take ingredients out of the water, like silica removal for the oil sands, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where they have the steam processes to run their process for oil. And so these are two things which we know that we can impact by producing our MGO more or less reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one thing which we think is a basis for this PMAP technology. And for sure, there's other application, which is a big environmental thing. Every water treatment which goes in the food industry, potato industry, they need it for pH neutralization and some other equipment.
Capital Limited are a leading global mining services provider with expertise across the entire mining value chain. Their end-to-end services include exploration and production drilling, in-surface and underground operations, load and haul, as well as assay laboratories. For 20 years, they have delivered best-in-class safety performance, professionalism, and reliability to customers worldwide. Capital have recently expanded into the Americas, where they continue to deliver the highest standards of excellence in mining services. Learn more at capdrill.com. Attention builders, we've got everything you need to know about the grit and grind of the construction world in one show. The Construction Show is where you can share your expert techniques and strategies to help keep the crew strong and construction sites secure. From foundational tips, industry trends, safety strategies to advanced equipment and machinery. Be part of the voice of construction. Book your episode and showcase your company to millions worldwide. Visit crownsman.com.
Okay, I want to get a clarification on something here. Again, sorry to the audience if it's clear to them and just not me. Baymag is it unique because they're mining the very product that you're needing to do the water treatment? Is that what makes the setup so perfect?
That's correct.
Okay.
Basically, the formula that we have, more than 50% is based on the magnesium oxide, but not any type of the magnesium oxide. We tried different type, and the Baymag had the purification and reactivity that we are looking for. That's one of
So
the...
you got this perfect area of
Exactly.
process and product.
But if you don't mind, I just want to expand a little bit
Yes.
about the issue that we discussed, and then have a better
course.
idea that why the PMAP technology is kind of the important or unique, in my opinion. Let's just imagine that we have a mine operation, and obviously any mine operation produce some kind of the waste, solid or liquid waste. And if they have the liquid waste, the normal practice in the mining industry is collecting all the wastewater in some pond and deal with it when they have to deal. It's treated or doing proper operation and then discharge it to the environment. For treating the pond water normally, what we need a treatment facility nearby, and we have to pump the water from the pond to the treatment facility. So building the treatment facility is one issue, which is costly and capex involvement. Pumping the water from the pond to the treatment facility is energy consuming and dangerous because would leak and everything can happen. Existing of the pond by itself, imagine a body of the water, 100,000 cubic meter of contaminated water, for example, with cyanide or nickel or cobalt, is a danger. It's a red flag for everybody. So to solve this, all of this issue, what we do, we build that treatment facility and then we bring some reagent, which is normally in the past used to be lime or sodium hydroxide, which both of them are the dangerous hazardous material that we take some risk, transportation risk, to bring it to our site, and then a lot of handling issue on site for that one. And we have to train a group of the people to be able to deal with this and
Right.
treat our water. So all of things, in my opinion, there are a lot of red flag in this process. Collecting the dangerous water, transferring the water, building the facility, having the operator to do the job, bringing the dangerous material to the community and to road to the site, and then do the operation. So what we did, and we try to do in PMAP, basically we try to eliminate majority of this risk associated with the operation by mitigating two main factor in our treatment, basically adding two factor in our treatment operation. First of all, we do in situ treatment to avoid moving the water from the tailing pond to the secondary location, which is dangerous. And also we don't need to have a secondary location such as lime treatment facility. Basically, we eliminate the need for having the treatment facility. We eliminate the need for transferring the material, contaminated material, to secondary environment or location. That's one thing. The reagent that we basically formulated is based on the magnesium, which is non-hazardous and green material. So our material is 100% green, and we can basically, even people digest it by accident, nothing goes wrong with them. I mean,
Yeah.
that put it in this way. I'm not offering anybody to do something like this, but in general, compared to the lime or
Yeah.
hydroxide, that there are a lot of the basically operational and transportation risks. Our material is 100% green and basically harmless or non-hazardous. Let's put it.
I have to ask, if you're sitting there in the executive level and someone says, well, we can treat this without moving the water.
Yeah.
I guess right there, you're like, yeah, please tell me more.
Yeah.
Is effectively what happens, right? How did you two get connected?
Actually, I started using the material, and then as a we approached the new market development portion of the Baymag, and basically we start to working together from that point. That was the approach.
Let me jump in this. So
Yeah.
our approach is always, the market has a cycle. Everyone knows it. We don't have to explain it, but we're also looking today for the market from tomorrow, right? What is possible? And therefore we have looked, what is a major, let's say, environmental impact? What is the major trend which we are all looking for? Electrification. Look outside how many cars are running there. You need all these critical metals and critical minerals. So our market development person, Miriam, she did all the research here in North America, is connected to everyone who has had a footprint, and we are working with all the junior mining companies together to identify where is MGO playing a role. And based on this, in my other role, I'm a little bit maybe the strange person. I'm the CEO in the company, and at the same time, professor at the university for mining engineering. And in my other role, I see everywhere in the world we have two problems for mining companies: to get financed, startup, and to solve the environmental issue with the tailings. Right, and based on this,
and they go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand because you don't get the permit. If you don't have a solution, if you don't have a solution, you don't get finance. And therefore, I think it was our goal or strategic goal to go in the mine tailings area to help mining companies. We are a mining company, right? We have the experience live. We have the same issues, right? And we come to the point, water is in the tailings. Our product is able to take something out or to neutralize. And therefore, it was always our focus to go in the mine tailings management. The key is here, this I would say, this innovation solution, which is cost efficient, definitively, because you don't need this extra equipment, which is anyway in the interest of the heart from the CEO, right? And the other thing, it's really the possibility to also take out critical minerals of the remaining sludge, that you can pay the efficient approved PMAP technology by taking out critical minerals and bring it to a smelter.
Yeah.
So this is the key on this territory.
Yeah, that's actually the part that I actually didn't understand, is how you're I get the and we'll touch, we should actually tell the audience sort of what the setup is, like the vehicle that's going around in the water, but I didn't actually understand the extraction part. I didn't quite understand how that worked, because my understanding is that it was causing separation in the pond, but then I missed the extraction portion.
Let's just go about the basically setup that they probably can have a better explanation what happened during the pond.
Yeah.
Our treatment is in situ. Basically, we just put everything inside the pond and let the reaction happen. Our material are slow release. Sorry, it means basically when we drop the material as any format or add it to the water, slowly the reactions start to keep going and further up to finishing all the reactive reagent that we have in the pond. So that was the solution that we found in the lab and said, well, it worked perfectly. There's a small problem. Who's going to distribute that in a pond that the pH is 2 and nobody, even the fly don't want to go there? No, forget about the human.
Yeah.
So that was the second problem that we have it, and to solve
the distribution of the product into the pond. Okay,
because normally in the past when they did the in situ treatment, they just had one pipe of the reagent coming in some point in the pond, and they start to treating or changing the water quality, but it wasn't really efficient. So normally
and different areas of the pond of different levels, right?
Yeah. Actually, I just read the patent from some company that they have 10 injection points. That's the maximum that they can do during. But we said, okay, now we are in a different era. We have AI.
Right.
We don't need.
This was amazing.
We said, okay, we can do something different. We can have basically the distribution vessel that goes to the pond, measure quality, quantity of the water, make a decision that how much reagent we need at this certain point, and inject the material and go to the next point. So what's going to happen basically? We can conceptually we can say we can divide the pond to 1,000 or million column of the water stand beside each other. So our boat goes to the first column, measure the quality, quantity of the water, inject the material, let the reaction start, then move to the next one and to the other one and to the other one. So when we have this kind of the setup, we can basically select every single parameter that we want to work on it in our pond. So by injecting different amount of the material at different time frame, we can select which metal gonna precipitate now and which gonna stay in the water. So that's the part that we can have a selective precipitation.
Wow.
So we can basically set, if, for example, if you have nickel and copper in the water, we can choose to precipitate all the nickel in the, all the copper in the pond while the nickel is still in the water. Because we can exactly choose the point that these two gonna be separated from each other or have the best separation from each other.
Wow.
So in this way, the sludge that we produce gonna be rich with the copper and very little or no nickel. So we have the separation process here, and then the sludge can be extracted from the pond or dredged or whatever you can, and then basically go to this smelter.
So is it separate? Sorry, is it separating on the bottom? Like, is it like
no.
like a concentrate?
The nickel gonna stay in the water,
Yes.
not precipitate. Only copper gonna precipitate as a copper sulfate or something like copper hydroxide, for example.
And how? So it's
And then we have to dredge the pond and bring the sludge out of the pond and send it to the smelter. So
okay.
that's
So then it gets processed out of there. Okay. Yeah.
that's gonna
But
be-
but it's already been separated. Right. It's down there separated already. Then it gets extracted and gets processed.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Now let's say we want to remove the nickel too. We can basically continue the process, or we can bring in many mines. Basically, we have in the existing old lime treatment facility that they don't want to basically salvage it and say there's no value for that.
Mhm.
So what we can do, we can precipitate all the, let's say, copper in the pond, send the water with the nickel to their lime facility. And because only nickel is over there, the sludge that they're gonna produce gonna be rich in the nickel.
Yeah.
So we have two sludge, one of them rich with the copper at the bottom of the pond, the other one gonna be rich with nickel coming from the old lime facility that they have.
And I was seeing a presentation that you did online, and it's it's like 99%.
Yes, we can basically depend on the, as I said, we have super tight control on the reaction that's happening. We can play
Because
with
of that sort of
column
column, yeah.
concept that we have it. So we can basically go for very high removal efficiency for metal that we need it. Not obviously not everything. Lithium is not in our basically bucket, but there are something that we can precipitate and we can play with the situation or condition in a way that we have the maximum removal efficiency or precipitation.
I wanted to clarify something though. If you're looking, maybe not magnesium, but other like if you're after copper, that is there enough in that tailing to make it worth processing again?
Sure.
Yeah.
We did this already.
Yeah.
So
You
we
did it already.
did this already. So as I said, Baymag has for sure knowledge in water treatment. For sure, we know how our product is working in tailings, in other tailings.
The amount of work that it took.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We know this, and we did this with other. Can we speak about the company? But it's in Manitoba, a big company, and we brought this to the end that the water was pH neutral, and for sure they took the product back.
But this
They-
is moving the water,
they-
that whole process.
They
Yeah.
bring it out and they bring the material then to the smelter. So the pace with the critical element which they found out at the end, it pays the penetration or the activation with the PMAP technology by himself. But what we did is only self-made. We are, I would say we have really good salesperson, technical advice to give for every individual customer an advice, but we don't have this idea from PMAP where you really bring this both together. You don't need this equipment. You don't need to pump it out.
Unbelievable.
And this is the story behind where we say we have for sure the knowledge. We convinced.
Because you still have the product,
We
and you have the product. Yeah.
Yeah, but
You
it's
have
not
the-
only the product.
Yes.
They don't bring it down to only MGO. I don't want to say this, right? There's much more knowledge. What he is telling is really to have for all these columns individualized recipes.
Right.
And this is, I would say, the really big thing that you don't take one fits all, really individual
Right.
solution using artificial intelligence. And with this boat at the moment, maybe it looks later different, we have a really smart technology.
Yeah.
That letter,
It just sort of does that last little hump that you needed to get over. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's incredible. The question that pops out to me as well is this out view. I haven't gotten in much trouble in the mining industry. The only thing I've gotten any company who's been upset with, like me personally or Crownsman, is talking about tailings. We've had a company reach out and go, we don't like you. Well, you're broke.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
There's not much I can say to defend that. It broke.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, I mean, lives have been lost. In BC, we've had like actual damage
Yeah.
to to the environment. Like I said, I grew up in the mountains. I'm all for mining and energy and that, but you better take care of it because I don't want it messing up my backyard. And does this possibly change the way tailings are looked at? Because all of a sudden they become the channel to be more efficient, to release less.
Fully correct. This is exactly what we want, right? Coming from this mining operation, you need to make sure every day, every hour, whenever you are operating, that you don't have environmental impacts. In your operation, mining, I think everyone is great. But when it comes to the mine tailings, one of the abandoned mines or existing mines, they have some, for sure, a permit for running this operation, but still is an issue. What are we doing when we are done? What is going out with this? And therefore, I think it's this innovation which brings us to the change in the view of mining. Mining in Europe, especially where I'm coming from, has a very bad reputation, right? And if you come to the point that you can change the view on also the residues, the rest of the mining, and change it to a positive thing in terms of a circular economy, secondary mining, which is then you can change it. I like the sentence: mining is not the problem, mining is the solution, right?
Right.
And this comes for me to the view on how the people looking on us, looking on our mining operation, because you cannot eat if you don't have this enough fertilizer. You cannot drink if you don't have clean water. You cannot have all your electrical cars if you don't mine it. And if you want it in North America, think on how we can get this done.
Right. People take care of what they value as well. So even a mining operator, if that tailings pond becomes more valuable,
For sure.
by extension, my wife's from the Philippines. I mean, that again, there's a reputation of mines in the Philippines, some very serious issues. All of a sudden, if you up that value, of course, everybody's going to take better care of it because it's valuable to the mine. And that shouldn't be the only motivation. There should be just environmental responsibility, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
imagine, let's say you are living in some neighborhood and there are a lot of, let's say, wastewater in some pond near to you guys, and you are thinking, what's going to happen if the dam collapse? That's the biggest worry that they have. Why if my child by mistake goes and touch the water, the contaminated water, that kind of thing. What we do in the PMAP, basically, we convert the contaminated water to the clean water in the pond.
Yes.
So even this dam break, you won't get the contamination across the area. And that's, I think, the key environmental aspect of our work. Obviously, as a company owner, as a technology owner, we want to promote it. But when I'm thinking that if I was living somewhere that the dam were there, and let's say the Capilano Dam, for example, here in Vancouver, if it was full of the contaminated water, and then I said, oh my God, what's going to happen if there's something goes wrong with that dam?
Yeah.
My life going to be in the total stress, entire life that I have it, and for my family, for my next generation. But if I said, okay, at least the clean water, gonna be water damage for sure, but at least after that, everything can come back to normal. But if the water has the cyanide, if cobalt or nickel, it is gonna stay with me for generation. Mercury, oh my God, you just touch it, you are done. That kind of the thing. So that's the whole idea that we have. We want to treat in situ to make sure the liability that the mine had, the danger that they have for the environment, converted to the kind of the let's say, assets and value for the community. Then community say, oh my God, there's a good reservoir of the water that can be used for agriculture, for different purpose here.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. There's a lot of applications for this, right?
For sure. I mean, we follow basically the discharge permit or limit that the mine had. It and depend to where they discharge the water. But the quality of the water should be according to that discharge criteria. So we, at this point, I want to basically point it out that our technology has two different sections. One of them is the chemical formula that precipitate metal, majority of the metal at this point. The second part that I briefly mentioned is this use of the AI or artificial intelligence for accessing to the pond. So we can do almost everything in the pond now. In the past, even let's say you have some biological issue in the pond, you have to pump it to some treatment facility and do the treatment. Now with the type of the access that we created to the pond, we can do the same thing inside the pond. We have to just find the right, basically, action, right reaction over there. So the USDV, we call it, unmanned smart dispensing vessels that we have, give us a huge access to the pond to every single point with measuring the quality and quantity of the water.
Mm-hmm.
So we can, let's say you have to inject ozone gas, we can do it. You have to remove some, I don't know, VOC from the water, we can do that one too, because our vehicle can go without any human interference
Right.
to every point and do the job for us. That's I think another part of our the company or invention that we have it, and it is equally important as the chemistry that we have, in my opinion.
When you're talking to people within the industry, and I'm sure you're talking to lots right now, you're talking to about 30,000 now. When you're talking to people, what are some of, because I sit here and I do these interviews, and of course, I'm asking questions, but then I always think there's probably people listening that go, can you please just ask this? This is what I really need to know. And I just don't know to ask that question. What are some of the big questions you're getting? And then I'm going to put the same questions over to you, is what are the big questions you had when trying to onboard the technology? So what are some of the main questions you're getting from the industry, or maybe hang-up points or confusion, things like that?
Actually, I think when it comes to the application of the artificial intelligence, many people in the field of the mining are not comfortable or familiar with the idea.
Just when they hear the word AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have a kind of the fear, and there's a kind of the confusion that how you can combine these with a chemical reaction. And
Yeah.
said, I'm not combining, I'm using basically, in my opinion, AI is a powerful tool to complete the process that I want to do it. The same as the computer is a powerful tool for us to do the accounting. So accounting, we are not changing the principle of the accounting.
Right.
We are using computer to do it faster, better, more accurate.
That's just a great explanation for AI, because a lot of people, I mean, there are some real risk with AI, but when we're talking about this type of application, there is real confusion around it. And people don't realize, no, AI is not creating something new. It's basically a powerful way of bringing in what is already in existence.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine many companies now offer to using some kind of the autonomous technology to monitor the water quality. And my question is, you did it, you did a good job, and so what? What you want to do with all of the information now?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any functional policy for the usage of the AI. But in our work, we just use the information, collect the information to take the action, and we know what's the action after that.
Mhm.
And that's a very confusing point for people. How you can combine these two together? Actually, the concept that I explained about the imagining each virtual column in the pond,
Yeah.
I think that's the key point of the technology that we are talking about. And the fact that the AI give us the power to individually analyze each column, but at the same time work on all of them simultaneously.
Yeah.
So if you just imagine one column, basically going to be a kind of the lab work, not much of the value, because the interaction between the different column around that and different things happening. But in AI world, we have the capacity to individually investigate that column and then correspond it with the all other column around that,
Yeah.
and come up with a kind of the optimum solution, in my opinion.
So basically, you put the what is that, a boat? What would you call that?
Yeah, USDV.
So you put it in the water, and it basically it maps out the entire pond,
Yes.
essentially, and then from there, then it's basically reading it continuously.
Yeah, you brought a very good point. Basically, when the first step or process going to be the mapping, making a digital map of the pond.
Right.
But it's not only XYZ or depth and altitude, but we have the water quality for every single point too. We measure pH, dissolved oxygen, electrical conductivity, TDS, anything, basically anything that we can measure online, we do. So
Right.
our map is not 3D map. Technically, it's 5D or I don't know 7D, depend to what we are doing.
Right.
And we can basically follow the trend of every single parameter in next measurement. So we do the digital map. We go for the first round of the injection, give it a day or something, and then do another digital map. So to see the progress, what happened in each column, how far we get closer to our basically the target. And then do the again injection if it's necessary, and continue the same way to get to the point that we have to be.
What similar question from it's a great answer, by the way.
Thank you.
But same question from the mining operator, and this is it's great to be able to even ask this question because we have a lot of technology companies coming on. And of course, the challenge is getting in front of the mine, having the conversation, and actually getting an opportunity to showcase your technology. Of course, if you've got 100 people that want to showcase their technology, it could be a full-time job just doing that.
Maybe, yeah.
So what were some of the questions your team had? What were some of the challenges, the sort of how you looked at the risk versus reward and all that? Can you kind of walk us through that decision-making process?
Yeah, let me start from this point. As I said, I'm also in the mining university area.
Right.
And wherever I go to my friends, we have this annual meeting with all the mining professors worldwide. And wherever we speak about what are solutions, they also come to me and ask, hey, this MGO, we know this. This is in water treatment. We know it works, right? What can we do? What can we do better? Because for sure, they're also looking for solutions. This is one driver why I was always thinking our Baymag market development has to develop mine tailings ideas for the future. If it works for everyone, I'm not 100% sure. This we will see. But what we know is that we can individualize it, and with the technology from PMAP, I'm pretty sure we can answer this. The technical question is very easy for me. I always show on him because he can give the better answer. But from the needs of a mining company, and doesn't matter if it's here in North America or South America, Australia, where our sister company is operating from Queensland Magnesia, or in Europe, where I'm coming from. All the abandoned mine, tailings areas, there is an issue. Yeah, circular economy comes for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we get the question: Can you use our MGO? Can we find a solution? And this is for me the reason why we jumped in, right, in this process to make sure we can support with our product. For sure, we are facilitated to make the product in a way that's reactive, as Mohsen mentioned, but it must be a combination of a new idea, otherwise you don't get it. And it must be, at the end, economy is there and someone has to pay the show. And therefore, you're right, environmental issues is important, and you don't get a permit without, but if you want to convince mining industry, do we have less money? And yes, I agree. This is
You have to get to the bottom line somehow. You have to do it. Yeah.
Sure.
You mentioned decommission. I think you mentioned it earlier to decommission mine. Is there then an opportunity to go back to some of these decommissioned mine and process some of this?
Actually, based on the new development in the mining technology, I think several old mine now become a new target for the mining industry because they can treat the ore better and have even the low concentration of the valuable material now it's become feasible, economically feasible for the extraction. That's a good point that we can say there are a lot of old mine that we can reopen and we can operate on them. However, keep in your mind, because of the low concentration of the valuable material, the amount of the produced waste gonna be higher compared to the previous operation. So it means they're gonna do the feasible and economical operation over there to extract the material. However, they're gonna produce higher volume of the waste.
Right.
And it means that our solution gonna be more critical to the reopen mine compared to the existing mine.
Right.
Because we can basically solve the problem. And that's the point that I have to bring out here, that the duration of our operation in PMAP is normally less than 20 days for treating the entire mine, pond water, which let's say 100,000 cubic meter of the water.
That's what the old system would have taken, about
Probably 2 months,
15 days or something?
Longer.
No, I'm joking. I'm kidding.
No, that
20 days. I don't know if you can do anything on a mine in 20 days, can you?
No, normally not.
because the system is basically artificial intelligence, and it just do it by itself. You don't need even have the operator to look at that. You can do 24/7.
Yeah.
And you can just do it as long as you need. So that's basically the beauty of the system, that we can reduce the number of the operator, we can reduce the capex required. And
may I add, Mohsen, especially this is a point why also the government might be interested, because this is clear. Normally, the government sits on the old things, right? If you have old abandoned mines, someone has to take care. And if you have a solution which is faster and cheaper, and which is not so dangerous because you don't have to bring dangerous goods, I think this is also key to commit to them, right?
Yeah.
And also to areas where it's very environmental sensitive. If you don't have to run with a big troop and can shrink your equipment and the impact which you are doing there, I think this is exactly one of the reasons why I'm coming also on to say there's a lot of others old abandoned mines which needs also to be recovered. This doesn't mean that we want to solve the world. Don't misunderstand. We have not the solution for everything, but we have an idea. We have a product which definitely works and is proven, and we have a smart idea on top of this, which we think we can individualize for lots of applications. And this is, I think, the key also for abandoned mines.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is with even with operating mines or abandoned mines, you've got the elements happening. Like up in your area, you have. I mean, how much snow do you get by December? It's
tons of snow.
Yeah. So you've got an environmental thing that's happening where that's continuous. 30 years later, that process is still going. That tailings pond is still there.
Exactly.
So you're sort of alluding to there's that opportunity to sort of make those safe.
It's not only this. What I'm thinking of is really to make it part of your running, let's say, operation. So if you start it early on, why you need big tailings, which at the end brings you in a permit problem because you don't get an extension, right?
Right.
Making it the beginning of your plan, of your production, as a part of your ongoing solution. First, you have not the ingredients in the sludge and in the pond itself, and second, you can keep the tailings much smaller, right? And this is, I think, also a money-saving tool because at the end, you know how big tailings can be and how much efforts you have to do to make it safe. As smaller is better. I don't say you can neglect it. Maybe this is a high-level goal everyone is looking for, zero waste mining operation. But you can definitely solve abandoned issues. You can definitely give permit easiness for new mines and also for extension of permits. And for sure, you can include it in the processing of the day-to-day business of mining operations. For sure, it has to be planned. But I'm pretty sure you have a lot of advantages if you include it in your normal operation.
That leads to the big question is the onboarding question. 20 days, that's implementation. That's fantastic. But what does day one look like? If someone watches this and they call you tomorrow, what is the onboarding process looking? What's the initial consultation, coming to site? Just that whole process. Can you walk us through that?
The only thing that we need a kind of the site visit to be able to do the let's say initial mapping of the pond. And after that, our equipment is very agile and designed in a way that we can move it to the site in, let's say, 2 or 3 seconds. And that's the maximum thing that we need over there. And then the raw material, that's it. So let's say if we do the mapping of the pond at day 1, we can come with the injection strategy after 2 days, and the next week we can be on the site, depend to the location of the site, obviously. But basically, I can say if you want to be super careful, probably we do a kind of the bench test before going to the site, which is take 1 week for us.
Right. Okay.
And then we are looking at probably 2-3 weeks before being actually on site and start the operation. That's my estimate for the work in, let's say, Western Canada.
Just a clarification on the onboarding. Is there like testing and that sort of thing, like samples being pulled? Just that managing that expectation.
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, our formula for the PMAP is not basically one recipe for all contamination or our condition. So what we need to do, we need to take a water sample and adjust or fine-tune our formula according to the target and the contamination to make sure that we have the optimum usage of our material when we are going on site. So that can be one step that normally we do in the lab. We have a lab facility and we can do the test work to make sure that we have the proper formula or recipe for that particular pond. And also we have a small unit that we can send it as a sample collector on the site too. So if they don't have the sampling or the ability to go to the middle of the pond and do the sampling, we can do it with our AI equipped system and do that part of the job too.
I want to bring you back into the conversation to talk about I'll be honest, I have a little trouble with the parent company name as well.
Easy.
You say it very easily. It sounds like so does this become applicable across the board? Can you just, I was looking at your, basically the company structure, and it had this beautiful circled chart of how everything's sort of connected. And yeah, I do a little bit of homework before these shows.
Check.
Yeah. So does this become transferable in the way that it's set up? Can you maybe just how do you look at it from even a bigger picture, but from an internal standpoint?
Absolutely. Baymag, Canadian. We deliver in the North American market mainly, for sure we're going overseas. But we are not alone. We are part of a bigger group, Refratechnik.
Refratechnik? That's not bad. Yeah, Refratechnik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Refratechnik group of companies. They are headquartered in Munich. And they have two big pillars. One is the refractory part, and one is the industrial minerals part, where we belong to. We have sister companies in Australia, Queensland Magnesia, and we have a sister joint venture in China, and we have a trading arm. So what I want to say with this, we are globally connected with the Refratechnik group because they are a global company, deliver in every continent, and the industrial group is really well situated in Asia Pacific and in the North American market to provide the world with the specific quality of product. And that's what we want to say. The Queensland Magnesia and our product is very similar. The processing is very similar. In China, we have access to a lot of different kind of processing that we can really arrange the quality of the MGO in a way that is needed for different process. Different process, we are not only in refractories, we anyway know, but Queensland Magnesia in China, but we are in agriculture, industrial, and environmental applications. And with this setup, we have a global view on it. With our mother company, we are German, we are always having a why, right? You need to know what is your why. The why is coming with the trends, right? The mega trends like animal feed, people need something to eat. Need to clean the water because we all want to have clean water and a nice environment. And looking for electrification of the world, everyone is looking for precipitation. Our product goes to the Congo or to Australia for nickel precipitation or for cobalt precipitation. So this is everything what you need in future on your electrical car or in further electrification is coming from rare earth elements, nickel, cobalt, copper, all these critical metals which you need. And therefore, we are looking for this further growth in PMAP, in China, and in our area. For example, our company is growing in more or less in 1 decade, right? When I started in 2020, we had a great status of capacity, but I'm sure in 10 years or in 2030 already we have a double capacity because these trends are ongoing and these trends are demanding. If we, as I said, there are lots of projects ramping up in North America, which needs for new mines again.
And better water, and by extension, better water management.
Exactly. Yeah. And based on this, we are really expanding this by a lot. And I would say for us, it's a double of capacity. And remember, 2020, we were still in COVID time, exactly on the day when we get the saying nobody can work, you all have to work from home, we started the groundbreaking and built a new plant, right? This was not so really easy to think. But nevertheless, what I want to say, the network is there. And we have, with the Refratechnik, also access in areas where maybe Baymag or QMAG alone has no access. So this global network, and this comes to your question, brings definitely a value where we can promote and marketing the product itself with the technology from PMAP and can bring it to the customers wherever it's needed in the world.
So is this a partnership, or how does the partnership set up, if you don't mind me asking, the collaboration between your two organizations? You're both gonna
we are best friends.
You're best friends.
No, for sure there is some money in the game, right?
Right. Yeah.
And this.
Well, we're here. This show is a show about business and money, so I don't think anybody watching that doesn't like that is watching the wrong platform.
I agree. No, for sure we are looking for an investment in the company. We are building this up, but at the same time, as we said, we are convinced, and Mohsen knows our market development. I think. We are working already together as we are already in the partnership, but behind the scenes we are working on the contracts to make sure that this is also on the contract side ready. But as I said, we are convinced that this is the right step, and therefore we are already doing this. We are already promoting. This morning I got feedback from Italy, from a big conference, which it's next week. It's definitely closed since months that you can go in. Yeah, come over. In Australia, I just made the contact to my friend there to in Sydney for the big, it's the Future Mining Conference, the biggest conference in Australia in Sydney. We got an access to present our technology there. So
Which conference is that?
it's a Future Mining,
Mm.
it's in Sydney in September, right?
Second, third, or
2nd or 3rd of September.
Oh, we may be there. We may be doing episodes from there. But and Australia is an interesting market. Just a little side note. We do a ton of business in Australia, a ton, and they are just they're very passionate about mining. And they green light. They want to get the message out. They want to talk technology. They want to talk innovation. It is a wonderful place for like our platform. We just line up perfectly. I don't even know exactly what it is, but we just do.
But it's the same here.
Yeah.
All the rare earth companies are also coming over. The project which we know from Australia, which we deliver with MGO from Queensland, Malaysia, comes over, and we have rare earth projects here in Saskatchewan or in Ontario, which are running where the same companies are there. But when you say technology, I think this is also important to know. Baymag, we are the first one with a total new kiln which has our, let's say, specific energy cut by the half, right? This is the first step which we did, and now we are going further in this direction because you asked earlier on, what is your clients or your customer asking? They ask the story, what is your CO2 footprint and what are you doing?
So you're getting that question.
They have to, and we every time. And also, if you go to a farmer, they already ask us, right? And I ask him, what are your cows providing in CO2?
Yeah.
Oh, this is another question.
But the interesting thing, though, with this partnership, though, is because you really are coming at it from an operation standpoint. You have to approach it from that, and you've onboarded as an operator. Is that process? You're talking about 20 days. I mean, obviously, there was were you when you started? Was that the R&D? Like, this is the first project, right?
yes, basically, how can I say R&D? When I'm working on the field for 20 years, so obviously I know some of the development that happened in the field and what's the problem. Actually, at the very beginning, when I start talking or thinking about the magnesium oxide and about the Baymag, we ran some project in somewhere in Canada that they have a high concentration of the nickel and copper in the water, but the mine didn't pay attention and they said we just want to neutralize the water and discharge it. That was the whole target. I look at the project and say, I have a better idea for you guys. You can extract nickel or copper. They said, okay, let's see. And it was very, very hard for me to convince them to go through the process that I'm talking about using only magnesium oxide.
But you'd been after it for years. You'd been looking for the solution for years.
This was actually the fun story because we said, okay, if you don't believe us, we take the residues. And then they found out, this has a big value. No, this is ours.
Exactly.
Just to make it very clear that what the Franz saying here, the total cost of the 2 months operation on site for the mine was around $7 million to treat that pond. But you can imagine that the sludge was sold for $17 million because of the amount of the nickel and copper that they have. But it wasn't the perfect operation. They had lots of things that they can do optimize, and that was. I told them next time that we can do different, we can do better, but they said enough. We have good money in our pocket. That's fine. Okay, that was the story. But I mean, yes, you see the problem, you see the challenge in the mining, and you see how you can make it better.
What are there? We touched on it earlier about like other industries, just briefly. Do you have any other projects outside of the mining space?
Yes, actually, that's a very good question to ask. It's a very smart question. Our technology is based on the utilizing or treating the water in the pond. So any industry that have pond, particularly oil and gas, or food industry, or whoever that basically collect their waste in a pond or an area that we can convert it to the series of the column, our technology would be applicable for them.
Okay.
Actually, we did a work for one refinery in somewhere in Canada that they have the mercury problem. And we could bring the mercury concentration to below detect, which is for people that may don't know is 0.005 microgram per liter in 5 days.
Wow.
That was the number that I said, okay, technically, if they want to treat the same amount of the water with the traditional way that they're doing, they probably have to pay more than $10 million for that. if they are using the PMAP technology, they are looking for less than $4 or $5 million. So it's absolutely going to be no-brainer to go this way.
Yeah. Do you I really do you think the industry, because you're a professor and you're a CEO, so you're in the operations side and the educational side,
Mm.
academic side. How many more of technologies are there like this? And I know this is a very big question. And it's fair to just go, I have no idea. But um, how many gaps? It's you don't know what you don't know, right? But the industry, something like this comes along and it changes the industry, it changes the way tailings pond. It takes it from a negative to a positive.
Mhm.
So it's not just shifting it to a neutral, like you said earlier. It's actually changing it to the other side, a positive thing. Do you think there's more gaps like this in mining?
So let me say it this way. So we have always a status, right? And the status is developed out of experience. And then you have these guys who jump from one idea to the other and combine them. What we are doing is nothing else, right? And maybe there's more to come. And when you look on, especially this future mining company, they are looking on extraterrestrial mining, right? We will
Yeah.
see this, right? Or what is going on the ocean. Not everyone is happy with this, what's going on, but maybe we find solution to make it environmental friendly. I'm pretty sure there's more to come. We are only on this surface at the moment of the earth, right? There's much more which might be explored. And as I said, there's always a status of knowledge which we all have. There's nothing, I always say, there's no new technology, no innovation really coming. It's only a combination of the innovations,
Yeah.
technologies which you have. And I'm pretty sure new needs forces new developments like this. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. But I cannot tell you which, because then I give you all my secrets, and
Yeah.
everyone will
Yeah.
invest in this.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
no, it's going to be, well, you're saying, yeah, outer space, mining in outer space. And in my lifetime, I will likely do an interview from outer space. It's very likely
This
for
would be
mining.
cool.
Yeah, it's going to be
Can
amazing.
I help you? Can I help you to also
Yeah.
like it?
I think the producers will be trying to keep their jobs.
This would be cool.
And then for you, what do you even just the next year or so, what's sort of your focus? To get the message out, develop the technology more. What are just sort of the main things you need to?
Basically, that's basically getting the message out. We scheduled to do our first large scale project in May, or let's say June, gonna happen May, June, something like this. So that's gonna be kind of the showcase to prove everybody that
Yeah.
how the concept gonna implement it successfully. That's the first goal for us. We are a company based on the R&D, so our life gonna be the continuing doing the more and more R&D project. Uh, the one of them that we are very interested and we started work on it and we have good success is working on the different type of the, let's say, environment, not only because now the way that we look at the water treatment in the Canada is between, let's say, May and September, that basically it's frozen. It's not frozen, then you can
Yeah.
run a boat or USC on that one. So we developed something to treat the water on the frozen lake. That's gonna be our next step.
Oh, oh boy.
That because
Alright.
again,
Well, you can't. You're ending the interview with that.
but there is one point that I want. Probably we give a kind of the wrong impression to our audience that okay, if you are using this PMAP technology, basically you have to abandon the other technology or technology or existing facility on site, which many of the mine had. Technically, lime treatment was
That's a good clarification. You're not. It's not going against the technology.
Not only we are not
It's
going
adding.
against them,
Yeah.
the other thing that we did a bunch of work and we know that if we use our technology as a pre-treatment for the existing treatment, especially lime treatment, we can improve a lot of things in the current operation. For example, we can reduce the amount of the sludge, we can reduce the amount of the reagent usage, we can separate the material to have the valuable material, we can eliminate the scaling and gypsum formation, which is big issue in that kind of facility. And all of this together reduce their operating costs while we reduce the overall usage of the reagent and system. So we go on site, do injection for let's say 1 week and come back and they can run their facility for 3 months, 4 months or 6 months without having the old issue that they used to have.
It is amazing. It's amazing stuff. And I appreciate you both coming in studio. Again, and I've said it many times in the show, I like doing the remotes. We do on-site, like events like CIM. but nothing beats actually coming in the studio and being able to have, because if it's at an event, people are moving around. It's just the conversations are shorter. So I really appreciate you actually taking the time to come into our studio and do this, because I think the technology deserves a full conversation, not a 25-minute one. So thank you both, and I hope we're doing this again soon.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
having us
Thank
here,
you.
and thank you for Dr. Franz to join us with this conversation. A lot of helpful and useful input basically from him.
No, thank you for this as well. And I think it's also good to say before we leave here, we both have really cool teams, right? And this, I think, makes us so strong that we are all believers in each other and in our teams. And this makes, I think, the story so real, right? And therefore, I'm really hoping to come back when we have the first big tailings done, and then we need some support to have all this
And the device that's going when the water's frozen. We're going to see what you're developing with that. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll of course put links to both their companies in the description below. PMAP has a YouTube channel as well that sort of breaks down the technology. So we'll have a link to that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please keep suggesting guests, and we will keep pumping out episodes of Mining Now. See you on the next episode.